is Scotland, The Drive, with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
Welcome to episode 9, and really, you never know what's round the corner. Sometimes it might be an Arctic, but in this case, last time we were talking about petrol prices, and who could have predicted the upheaval that's come about with the Middle East since then? I mean, we were talking about the difference, 10 pence difference in a gallon, or in a gallon, 10 pence difference in a litre, and look at the prices now. I mean, they're all over the place. In fact, I was talking to my local petrol retailer because he said his staff were being abused verbally. Well, not abused verbally. I mean, people were saying the prices are ridiculous. And he was pointing out to me that on a litre of fuel, and the prices are varying all the time, so I won't go into the actual prices, but he's making 6 pence profit, or he's making 6 pence on every litre. And out of that, he has to pay his running costs, his insurance, his electricity, his staff, all that sort of stuff out of the 6 pence. The government, meanwhile, is making 79 pence out of every litre.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
And that includes VAT. And every time it goes up in price, they get more in VAT. I mean, it's a win-win situation for the government, and it's a lose-lose situation for us and the retailer. So anyway, everything's changed on the prices, and we just couldn't have predicted that. But anyway, there we are. Who knows what's round the corner?
Who knows? The government may come to the rescue, despite my little observation a few weeks ago that government ministers and councillors and things, although they drive, they don't seem to have very much sympathy for motorists. And I really think it should start now. So, Chancellor, have a look at what you're making. Alan's quite right. Too much.
Do you think she's listening?
No.
No, of course not. No, because they make so much money out of the motorist.
Absolutely, every way.
Because it's a nice dripping roast for the Chancellor. It's not so good for us. Anyway, what's coming up?
Well, Lorraine's been driving the Ford Explorer in the Lorraine's lane, and you've been driving it as well, so we'll get your thoughts on it. What's in prospect as far as Knockhill is concerned? I caught up earlier with Stuart Gray from Knockhill Racing Circuit to find out what is planned for the next 4 or 5 weeks ahead. So we'll be chatting to him about that. And my first drive is Stephen Leckie. Now, that may be a name that doesn't come straight to mind, but boy, does he have a great collection. He's MD of Crieff Hydro Hotel. He also has his pips on his shoulder as he's Lord Lieutenant of Perth and Kinross, and many other things as well. He'll tell us all about himself fairly shortly. So, let's get on with it.
Scotland, The Drive.
Right, did you see about Ardrossan Harbour? I mean, have you been over there?
Yeah. Not recently. No. It's the last time was actually going from Ardrossan to Arran.
But apart from all the problems with the ferries, there's the problem with Ardrossan Harbour. I mean, as part of the ferry rigmarole, the Glensannox doesn't fit Ardrossan Harbour.
That was before the paddles.
That was, yeah. So anyway, Ardrossan Harbour is being taken into public ownership, which you think, well, so what? But what it means is that there will be doing some reconstruction, hopefully, and get it back up to its full potential and redevelop the facility. So that's on the horizon, which I think is good news. They're also talking about completely redeveloping Port Ellen, the port on Islay, and more work for the Northern Isles ferry services. So this is all good news potentially for motorists who are travelling to the islands. It still doesn't sort the problems with the ferries, and Glensannox needing new
paddles.
New paddles, propellers, I think. Yeah, I know what you mean. So there's this whole issue, but it's potentially good news for Ardrossan.
I think it's excellent news for Ardrossan because the town needs something. It needs something like that.
Because Ardrossan, it's a sad place.
It is. It is very much so. I mean, I've been there 2 or 3 times, and I can understand very much how the locals were shouting on this to be done, for the ship to be built, which is too large to go into where it was built to go into, is a bit crazy. And I'm sorry, I'm a cynic, but Ardrossan Harbour, this is the government have announced that they're going to do something with this. I just hope it doesn't take as long as the A9.
The A9 dueling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we shall see. But anyway, on the face of it, it's good news. Now, well, I don't know. Is this good news? New camera technology. As if we didn't have enough cameras, we're going to have more cameras. But these cameras are going to be watching out for people who don't wear seatbelts and are using their phones. Now, fair enough. You should be using your seatbelt and you shouldn't be using your phone in the car. But more cameras. What they need are police on the beat. Police cars, traffic cars, watching out for this. Cameras are all very well. There's too much reliance on technology. And in this case, what they're going to do is, apparently there are only 2 cameras. But that's not the point. They're going to move about. The cameras will monitor behaviours at 12 different locations around Scotland. For 6 months, covering various road types, urban, rural, trunk and local roads, as well as roadworks. And it'll be the largest survey of its kind ever undertaken in the UK, with only 2 cameras. But there'll be on mobile trailers, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're moving around.
I thought the interesting line, the technology being used in the trial uses trailer-mounted cameras with AI processing software to assess the probability of a road traffic offence occurring in passing vehicles. Operates 24/7 in all lighting conditions, capturing vehicles travelling at high speed. What was interesting was the cameras will be highly visible while they're being deployed and protected by onboard security and CCTV monitoring. Yeah, I can just imagine a trailer with a camera on it in a remote location at night, and somebody thinks, "Oh yes, we'll see to that."
Yeah, it's going to be another hold up on the roads.
So anyway, you're going to be watched even more, as if there weren't enough cameras around. They're going to be even more watching out for non-seatbelt wearing and mobile use. In fact, the press release from the government, Scottish government, on this had some pictures attached, and there was one picture of a lorry driver who was looking at the cab of a lorry, and he was sitting driving, and on his cab he had something like 5 mobile phones.
Really?
On the dashboard. Yeah. Now, what they were all doing, I don't know, but there you go. And there was another picture was somebody on the phone, or they were scrolling or something, and the passenger was holding the steering wheel. Now, that's not on. It's not on. So if they catch stuff like that, but anyway, we shall see. Aberdeen doing away with hydrogen buses. Well, there's a surprise. It's only cost £500,000 per bus.
I know.
Per bus. £500,000. And they had 25 buses. So do your sums. Yeah, it was, how much was it? Oh, 8.3 million.
The experiment has not worked.
Well, apparently there was nothing wrong with the technology in the buses. The problem was in the infrastructure for refuelling. And apparently there were infrastructure failures at Kitty Brewster and Cove, where they were doing the topping up with hydrogen. So technical issues. And so the buses have been sitting doing nothing for a couple of years, I think. And they're just writing this off. They're going to try and sell them, but I'm not sure who's going to want.
I don't think it's a queue.
No, I don't think so. So if you want a cheap double-decker bus,
going nowhere,
you have to find somewhere to refuel it.
But, I think the word is not in service.
But what this illustrates is, has the hydrogen bubble burst? I mean, years ago I was in Korea with Kia. They took us out to Korea, and they showed us a Kia SUV. I can't remember what model it was. I think it was purely a Korean model, but it was powered by hydrogen. And this thing was great, and we're hailing this as the fuel of the future, and this is going to be great. No pollution. All that comes out the back is water. But what's happened is, what they didn't predict was the improvement in EV technology. So EV electrification has overtaken the hydrogen, and it's left hydrogen standing still, and along with the buses.
One to watch, actually, in the future, and see what they're going to do, because you're right, the backup service to the buses was not good enough.
No. It was good, and it was the right idea, but the technologies just didn't keep up with developments. Apparently, rural roads are more dangerous than those Anybody?
Roads, yeah.
In fact, a survey by fleet management experts RAM Tracking, the company analysed over 1,500 driving alert events triggered by its vehicle tracking technology and found that the country's winding A roads and rural routes pose the biggest risks. And the most dangerous road, where do you think the most dangerous road is in Britain?
I would think it's probably not where we're expecting it is up north. I would say Elgin, Inverness.
No, you're wrong. It's down south.
Really?
The A698 between Kelso and Jedburgh.
Yes.
Of all the roads in Britain, and that's including the A9 and motorways and everything, the most dangerous road, apparently, according to this survey, is the A698 between Kelso and Jedburgh. It's been named the UK's most dangerous road for drivers. Vehicles travelling this stretch recorded an average of 19.25 alert events each, more than 5 times the rate seen in London. And all 77 alerts on this road were harsh braking events, pointed to sharp bends, limited visibility, concealed junctions that forced drivers into sudden stops. And Edinburgh was I think, third on the list, and Dunfermline in Fife. So out of all the roads in the country, 3 of them are in Scotland. So there you go. So watch yourself on country roads.
One thing that may interest you if you're driving company-wise, and a lot of company drivers are driving on country roads as well, but drivers for some time now who have had a company car or put in company mileage have been complaining that the rate they get back that they're allowed to charge per mile has been the same for ages. Well, drivers may be able to claim back more in expenses for mileage after Rachel Reeves said she was considering, she's not said she's going to do it, she's considering increasing the minimum tax-free amount. The Chancellor said she understood driving costs had risen significantly. Obviously, one of her researchers has told her.
She's noticed.
Yes, and the current rate of 45 pence per mile was last updated 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Drivers, and I'm one of them who falls into this, currently claim 45 pence per mile tax-free for the first 10,000 miles, and is supposed to cover the running of the vehicle, including your insurance, repairs and servicing, etc., etc. And after
45 pence a mile.
After that, after the 10,000, you can claim 25 pence per mile, but it has been there for so long, it is now just a joke.
15 years?
Yes.
You could have a night out for 45 pence, couldn't you? And still get change.
Yeah. So there we go. Actually, the RSE Foundation said in 2023 that workers who use their cars for work were on average £6,000 a year out of pocket.
Oh,
so there we go. So that's one to watch, actually.
Well, talking about the RSE, they've done a survey of the breakdowns. And guess what the biggest cause of breakdowns was?
Battery.
No, potholes.
Oh, right.
Now there's a surprise.
Yeah.
Damaged shock absorbers, broken suspension springs, distorted wheels, up by a third, or the 3 times, should I say, 3 times more an increase in pothole damage. And what they're saying is, and here's a surprise, rather than patch the roads, why don't you do a proper resurfacing job? This is something we were talking about this not so long ago. Stop potholes appearing in the first place, not just patch them up. And they should do a proper resurfacing job, because they've reported that what's happening is heavy rainfall followed by freezing temperatures causes water to expand in the road cracks and deteriorates the surface. And there's this huge backlog. Apparently it's a multi-billion-pound backlog in repairs, with local councils struggling to move beyond temporary patching. And, this is the point. You've got to do a proper resurfacing job, let the water run off, rather than soak into these patches where it just becomes worse. You fill a pothole and then a pothole appears there, and it just breaks up. But what the RAC are saying, and the AA as well, is if you see a pothole, report it, because if you report it, the council has to acknowledge it. One of their defences when people claim compensation is to say, well, we didn't know about it. So, and if they don't know about it, they can't be held responsible for it. But if you report it and it's on their files, they have to, well, there's more chance of getting compensation.
I'll just jump in on an experience last week. my street, which is just outside there. my street, my niece, sorry, for the first time in ages, come to visit us last week. And we got in the car and she says, "This street's bad, isn't it?" She says, "I've never seen a street with potholes like this." And it is bad out there.
It's bad everywhere.
Yeah, but the pothole guys arrived recently, a week ago, and they started looking at the holes, one very bad one, and they patched it. It was like putting a black cover over it. But others, they've just left. They've gone away and left.
No.
Because it won't have, obviously, it's not big enough.
It's not on my sheet.
Well, I didn't want to ask.
Yeah, that's what happens. It's the same up my way as well.
Yeah.
You'll see them, they come out, they patch maybe 3 potholes and leave number 4.
Yeah.
And you think, if you're there, why not do that one? Maybe they ran out of tar. I don't know.
It just wasn't on their list.
Yeah.
I think that if you do think you've got the worst potholes in your street, do let us know. This is
there's a competition there.
Absolutely. This is Scotland the Drive. If you have just joined us on the podcast, thank you very much indeed. Can I just say hi to all our viewers or whatever they are? I see podcasts, people that engage described as listeners or viewers. Well, it depends whether you're on Spotify or you're on YouTube, but we're just glad that you're there anyway. But hi to everyone who's in the northeast patch of Scotland. Let me just mention that John Clark is headlining they're the headline sponsor of Autofest Aberdeen, which is on this coming Sunday, which is Sunday the 22nd of March, which is this coming Sunday the way we're recording it. And it's everything from classic American muscle cars to modern supercars, and it's at P&G Live. That's this Sunday.
And it's all indoors.
That's all indoors. I'm thinking of going to that one.
Are you?
Yeah.
Keep out of the rain, I suppose.
Absolutely. Free heating.
So that sounds good.
Yeah.
And you've been looking at sales of new cars.
Yeah.
Figures.
Indeed. Sales of new cars have soared to the highest level for more than 20 years, believe it or not. But demand for electric vehicles is stuck in the slow lane. Figures from SMMT showed that 90,100 cars were sold last month. That's up 7.25% from a year earlier, and the best since 2004. That's it. Yeah.
I'm surprised at that, because how many 226 plates have you seen? I haven't seen very many.
No.
In fact, the only ones I've seen a couple.
A few.
One was on the back of a transporter, being moved somewhere to a dealership. And the other was at a Kia and Mercedes dealership, and there were a few 26 plates. I haven't seen one on the road.
Well, there you are. Best since 2004. Have you any idea? Do you know what the best-selling car is? The best-selling car last month.
It was Fiesta, but of course they're not made anymore.
No. They sold 3,220 out of 90,100.
Corsa.
Nope. Ford Puma.
Oh, the Puma.
The Puma came out as the best-selling car. Demand for Teslas tumbled by 37% as it faced fierce competition from Chinese rivals, including BYD. The slow take-up of electric cars set alarm bells ringing across the industry as drivers are put off by high prices and a shortage of charging points, which had fueled so-called range anxiety, which I've had a couple of times. Labour's plans to hit drivers of electric cars with the new pay-by-mile tax also being blamed for a slump in demand. Battery-only powered cars accounted for just 22% of the market in the first 2 months of the year, following well short of the 33% target set by the government for 2026. So it's, we've said this before and been accused of being anti-electric cars. We're not. We're just saying it's not there yet.
No.
And it was said to me by a retailer that the majority of electric cars that he's selling is to companies. Because they are getting, a company can take an electric car and get a heavily discounted or get the grant, etc., etc. And they're doing that because it suits their company. Come 3 years' time, they'll just shift it. So it's an interesting one for us to watch, because although we were critical, not of electric cars as such, just the way it was set up when we started doing the podcast, I think what we were saying 9 weeks ago, or we were more than that, is coming to fruition.
But I bet a lot of those new cars are hybrids. I mean, that's the sensible option these days. There are very few cars available that are not hybrids. And hybrid is the perfect solution. It gives you the range. It gives you a bit of electric power when you need it. If you, depending on your journey, you can do quite a bit of driving on purely electric power, but you've got the security of knowing that you've got fuel as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the price of fuel, it's good to have a bit of electric power.
Indeed.
You never thought you'd hear me say that.
I know.
Right?
Well, if you're looking for something to do for entertainment over the next few weekends, midweek as well, because there's things go on there. Where am I talking about? Knockhill Racing Circuit, the star and the crown there as far as Scotland is concerned. They've got lots of things coming up this season, and to find out what those things are and what's happening where and when, I caught up with Stuart Gray from Knockhill to tell us a little bit more.
Scotland The Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
It's Scotland The Drive, and time to look and see what's happening Scotland-wide in our national sports stadium. Our motoring stadium is Knockhill. It's a stadium because it's always a fantastic place to go. The atmosphere, the weather, you never know what you're going to get, but the atmosphere and the noise is just absolutely fantastic. And great to have us joining us, Stuart Gray from Knockhill. Stuart, thank you very much indeed for joining us on Scotland The Drive.
Pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me.
That's all right. You geared up and ready to go. What's happening first?
Yeah, it's going to be another busy year. We've come off a couple of really busy years celebrating our 50th across the circuit, and this year I think it's quality and variety is the name of the game. We've got the big ones coming up in June with the superbikes and the touring cars, obviously in August with our own Gordon Shedden. Really, variety is the name of the game. Whether you're into 2 wheels, 3 wheels, 4 wheels, or anything with an engine.
That's basically you've captured that if people want to come along and watch, they can. If they want to come along and take some along with them, go karting, go learning to drive, you've covered a lot of bases, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think it's really for all ages as well. So we've got the karting from the age of 8 upwards. But anything that we do, all you need is a driving license. That's the minimum requirement. You could be driving a Formula car. You could be doing a track day. Spectating events are obviously open to everyone. But for the younger generation, we've mentioned the go-karting. We've got Teen Drive from the age of 13, giving youngsters their first chance of behind the wheel. And we've teamed up with the mini moto scene, which is little micro mini bikes, and they do that from the age of 6. So these are our competitors and spectators of the future. So
they are, aren't they? Yeah, you're getting them hooked in early.
Yes, absolutely, and probably our most geared family event, particularly for the kids, is actually our first event of the year on Easter Sunday, our Easter Sunday Hot Hatch Fun Day. Including egg rolling down the famous Stuff Is Stitch. So a bit of everything for the whole family.
Right. So that's just Easter Sundays. That's the 5th of April, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's a full day hot hatch. It's already sold out actually on the track time, which is fantastic. But off track for spectators, we've got everything from the Doddy Weir tractors coming up. We've got lorries going to be on display and parading. We've got drifting. We've got the egg rolling, face painting. Lots and lots of things for the whole family.
That's you've just summed it up there. It's a day for the family, isn't it? Don't be frightened to take along your kids because they're going to love it.
Absolutely, and it's the one. It's nice. It's geared and falling on Easter Sunday itself because there'll be an Easter treasure hunt and loads of other things for the family.
Okay, so gates open 8 o'clock, raring to go.
Yeah, track action from 9. It's kind of a 3-hour, 4-hour visit. Track action goes on all the way till 5. So the majority of families will come mid-morning, late morning, through to early mid-afternoon, with the track action going from 9 till 5. So a full day of fun.
Great. Let's move on then to two wheels, I should say, the Scottish Championship bike racing round 1. That's on the 11th and 12th.
Yeah, full program again. Everything from the 300s right up to the Superbike Clubman. The bikes are just amazing. You're looking at topping out about 170 miles an hour down the straights for the big guys. The quality of racing is tremendous, and that's Scottish Championship level, and it's a precursor to our 30th anniversary Superbike meeting in June, which is going to be really, really special this year as we mark, because the Scots have dominated Superbikes. Steve Hislop, Neil Mackenzie, Brian Simpson, the Brian Morrison, sorry, huge range of Scottish riders.
Yeah,
they have all come to the fore over the years, and looking forward to that one later in the year as well.
Sticking with the month of April, the next weekend, it's the Scottish Car Racing Champions Car Racing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, cool program. So we're going to have everything from minis to the Scottish Legends is one of the biggest things that's happened in recent years. There's going to be a full grid of 34 of them there, that will kind of hot rod looking things with motorcycle engines. They're all identical, so the racing is super close.
Is that the one that you're going to go anti-clockwise?
This particular race day is anti-clockwise the whole weekend. Yes.
Right.
We're the only circuit in the world that's licensed to run both directions.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great trait feature to have, and it actually gives Scotland two racetracks, one clockwise and one anti-clockwise, because to drive going the other way, totally different. The shape of the corners, the cambers, it literally is a brand new track, and it's a real leveler because 2/3 of our racing is clockwise, but when we switch to anti-clockwise, it often provides different winners, different finishing orders, because people get used to it. Other people.
Yeah, I was going to say, you go on there thinking you know the circuit, but then all of a sudden, I'm going the wrong way here.
Yeah, well, you're going a different way. It's a different challenge. Some people are actually quicker going anti-clockwise than they are clockwise. So, they've really hooked up with the track. So it provides that variety, and as I say, it gives actually Scotland two racetracks at the one venue.
Okay, so that's an exciting weekend, 18th, 19th of April. What else have you got coming up this month then, or into April? It takes us to
3 events. Being the Hot Hatch Day bike meeting, followed by the car meeting. In between that, there's midweek track days that people can get involved in. The go-kart track is open 5 days a week. We run our driving experiences, so they'll all be operating in and around the race program.
There's always something going on, isn't there?
Yeah, from April onwards, it's pretty full on, to be fair, right through to our fireworks event in November, which is always a nice finale to the year. So, but mentioning the fireworks, obviously that's a nighttime event, but end of September we're going to be having our first ever night race.
Really?
So, yeah. So, Classic Sports Car Club are coming up. They'll have a full 1-day meeting on Saturday, 26th of September. There'll then be a bit of a gap to allow it to get dark, and we'll then have 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races in full darkness. So always trying something new, something different, and night race is something that we're really excited about.
And you have to do that, though, Stuart, don't you, to keep the success, and that's what has made Knockhill the success that it is. You're not frightened to try something new.
Absolutely. It's the car world moves on, the leisure world moves on, people's interests. So you got to try and keep it as fresh and interesting as possible. New features. We've brought back stock cars this year for the first time. It was in 2025 for 15 years, I think it was. So that was a success. So it's coming back again in May, and a couple of events on Wednesday nights. So again, It's not just weekends that things happen here. Stock cars happen on Wednesday nights, so it's bringing that variety. I think that's the key word for 2026 is the mix, the variety, and the quality of events as well.
Yeah, I think the stock car racing. I mean, I remember when I was very small, going to Cowdenbeath and then coming up when I was older up to Knockhill as well. So it'd be great to come back midweek and see the stock cars.
Yeah, saloons. The F2 single seaters have a huge following, and you're looking at 2,000-3,000 people coming up to Knockhill tonight. You know, so it's quite remarkable. But no, looking forward to the year, and some new other things coming as well. We're celebrating a champions event in May for the car racers, and a group called No Limits are bringing up endurance racing. So we're going to have a 500 lap endurance race for motorcycles in August. So pit stops with rider changes and refueling and all that kind of stuff. So again, something different.
Yeah, plus, of course, we'll talk about them nearer the time, but you've got the big events, you've got the touring cars, you've got the bikes, and they're still there, they're still coming, and the people will still keep coming as well.
Oh, absolutely. You're looking at 15,000 people will come and see Gordon Shedden and Aidan Moffat, Dexter Patterson in the British touring cars. It's a world event, and it comes to Fife, it comes to Scotland.
Yeah.
But we're so lucky, and that as an event, it might as well be a two-wheel event, because the touring cars literally launch through turn one, launch through the chicane, Clark Corner. Their tyre wear isn't particularly high, but the action is super close and always spectacular.
Stuart, great to talk to you again, and we look forward through the season to keep coming back to you to bring us up to date with what's happening at Knockhill, but gives us a good starting point. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Scotland The Drive.
Nope, thank you for having me.
This is Scotland The Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
So lots happening at Knockhill. There'll be a lot to watch out for.
Indeed.
I like Knockhill. I mean,
so do I.
You've been round the circuit.
Oh, many times,
yeah.
Many times.
One of the first times I went around it was an Audi launch, and I think it was the Quattro. I can't remember. It was one of the early Quattros. And we went out in this car, and the guy who was driving it round was demonstrating its facilities and all its extras and everything. He said, "Have you ever seen ABS in action?" I said, "Well, no, I hadn't, because at that point ABS, like airbags and all the rest of it, they were a new development." So he said, "I'll show you how ABS works." So we went thundering down the straight, and I remember it was wet, and I thought, "Oh." So we're thundering down the straight, and just at the last minute, he slams on the brakes, and we went straight off.
Really?
And he said, "Oh," and he was,
that didn't work.
And he said, "Oh, that's not supposed to happen." Anyway, we took the car back, and he spoke to the guys who were looking after the car. And he said, "The ABS isn't working on this one." The guy said, "That one hasn't got it." So, first principle: if you're going to demonstrate something, make sure it's got it.
Well, I go back so many years that the first person to take me around there to have around at speed was John Cleland.
Oh.
And John was a very adventurous driver,
yes.
And particularly when he has someone as a passenger and you're going around Knockhill. It was very, very scary.
Yeah, he's a fast guy. He's still fast as well. I did a charity event with him, and we were, I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere in the Borders, and we were driving pickups and over this obstacle course and things. And I mean, I was being quite careful. He just went hell for leather, and he actually ended up reversing into something. And so the back end of the pickup was modified by the time we got back. But he's a fast guy.
So that's Knockhill anyway. So if you get a chance to go, then go. It's a great day out.
Right.
Okay. BYD has just had an award.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You probably haven't heard of this award. I wasn't invited to this award.
No, I didn't know it existed either.
It's the annual China Scotland Business Awards. Sorry, it's the China Britain Business Council annual China Scotland Business Awards.
That's why you've never heard of it.
Yeah, well, imagine the banner for this. I mean, it must be
in Chinese letters.
It was, anyway, the award was given to BYD, our friends at BYD. The award was received by BYD at the Chinese Bun Supper held in Edinburgh, and it's an award dedicated to the contribution that Chinese businesses make to the Scottish economy. And the council, the China-Britain Business Council, credited BYD's strong impact on promoting the sustainable growth of new energy vehicles in the Scottish market. And I mean, they have done great things, BYD. I mean, they're good cars, and again, it's like all these other companies that come along, companies we've never heard of. You were talking about Chang'an.
I know.
Before we started this, and you'd never heard of Chang'an, and they're a newcomer. It's almost every week there's a new name. But BYD were one of the first, and they're certainly doing good things. And it's interesting to see them being recognised by this award. Which
it's interesting there. You just said, Chang'an's a newcomer, and they are to this country. But I was reading a note from one of the dealers, and they're saying that they've sold X amount of million over the years in cars, so I think we've got to get onto that one and find out a little bit more for the next edition.
Yeah, they're new to us, but they've been around.
Exactly.
All of them have a very well-established pedigree, and they know what they're doing. That's why they're being so successful.
Yeah.
Jayco and Omoda are doing amazing things.
Amazing.
And then we've got Geely and Starray. I think
they're on the way.
They're coming to us on their test car rota, so we'll be sampling them in the next few weeks. And on the subject of cars from far away, KGM, formerly SsangYong, they've been taken on by Dixons of Inverness to their growing dealer network. And the Dixons they've been around for 3 decades in Inverness. And so it's interesting to see them taking on KGM.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting as well, Alan. We drive around, both of us, Scotland wide. We do burn rubber. We spend it in our jobs in doing this and various other things.
We don't burn rubber. We drive very expensively.
No, I don't. If I've got the chance. I think it's just interesting to see how the landscape is changing in our motor dealerships, because you can be driving past one dealership and it has Volkswagen on dealership. You pass a week later and it's changed to some of the new brands, and it's overnight they're changing. And I think that must be a heck of an investment for these companies coming into the country, and also for the dealerships that are having to cope with this as well.
But it's interesting that Dixons, I mean, it's a well-established
absolutely.
retailer.
Yeah.
It's part of the John Clark, isn't it?
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Anyway, they're going to have the full KGM lineup, and I think we've driven all of them. The 7-seater Rexton. Now, that's a nice car. It's almost a Range Rover competitive,
beautiful,
and about a third of the price, if not more, or less. The Musso pickup, it's a good one as well. Great value for money. The Corando and the Tivoli. The Taurus Hybrid, we talked about them last time, the Taurus Hybrid, and the Action Hybrid, as well as the fully electric Taurus EVX. So they're good cars, and interestingly enough, did you know the managing director of KGM in the UK is a Scot?
Really?
Kevin Griffin, yeah. I met him at the Scottish Car of the Year a couple of years ago, and he's very interested in Scotland. He's really committed to Scotland as well. So
good.
So it's good to see that. And what else was there? We're going to talk about Lorraine. Lorraine's been driving.
She has indeed, yes.
The Ford Explorer.
Take it away, Lorraine.
Scotland The Drive. Lorraine's Lane.
Sitting in Lorraine's Lane this edition is the electric Ford Explorer, following back-to-back with the Ford Capri that I reviewed previously. The Explorer was eagerly awaited, and we had high hopes for the Oval Badge when it was launched, but now that it's been around for a wee while, has it lived up to the hype? The Explorer's exterior is squarish and chunky, but that never did our friends at Range Rover any harm, or indeed the up-and-coming Leckies from China, who are making real inroads into the UK. It has a bold and sporty look too, set off nicely with a choice of alloy wheels, and all models have LED headlights. I love the hands-free tailgates. All you need is a wee swipe of your foot to open the boot. Very handy for me, who can never remember where the keys are, in my pocket, in my handbag, inside the car. So I said earlier there was a huge similarity between the Capri and the Explorer. Both are built on Volkswagen's MEB platform, which allows Ford to use the same wheelbase, motors, and some interior components of the ID4. Not that I would know, because I'm not in the Volkswagen gang, so we have no pals there to see their cars or to drive their cars. I would almost say that the Explorer looks better from the inside. Well, let's face it, that's where the driver spends most of the time and where they see it from. And the interior is almost identical to the Ford Capri, just a couple of subtle differences, which isn't a bad thing because I love that interior, especially the seats. The huge panoramic roof is just fabulous, letting in sights of beautiful blue sky. And yes, we have had some recently. Cold, but blue's just the same. However, if I'm honest, I preferred the sloping roof of the Capri, as did our young granddaughters who have delusions of grandeur and think they should be testing the cars the same as we do. Add in advanced tech that they were able to navigate far more than I was, and some superb safety features, then I think the Explorer was worth waiting for. There's a huge amount of space, ideal for growing families. I love the ambient lighting with a choice of 10 colours, depending on what mood you're in that particular day. Comfort is marvellous with heated seats and steering wheel. For me, that is on my essential list nowadays. The driver's seat has a 12-way adjustment, so no excuse for not getting comfortable. But oh my God, how did I miss the heated massage facility? Don't know. If I had any small criticism, it would be about the range, and I think we maybe had high hopes of the Explorer when we knew it was coming, been long awaited for. We thought maybe we were a bit overambitious and thought our dreams would be extended to having an extended range. So a little bit disappointing there. And there's nothing wrong with the range. It's as on par with the Explorer's rivals. We might have to wait for some time yet to achieve our aspirations of considerable miles to the kilowatt. In a nutshell, the Explorer looks good, it's a good drive with some great standard equipment and real practical SUV. There are some really good deals around us now as well, as noticing the other day. So if you are interested, worth checking out. Prices for the Ford Explorer start at around about £40,000.
Scotland The Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
Scotland Drive, and thanks to Lorraine, who's been out on the roads, not just the lanes, with the Explorer. What did you think of the Explorer then?
It was okay. I mean, that's damned by faint praise, isn't it? It was a perfectly acceptable car, did the job, nice to drive, very simple to drive. It didn't exactly get the juices flowing, and I got annoyed with it on many occasions because for some reason it decided I needed the seat heaters on. So every time I got in it, I'm driving along, I think it's getting warm in here. Discovered the seat heaters were on full 3 bars.
Right.
So I turned them off, and you've got to go through the stages 1, 2, 3 to get it back down to nothing. And then at the same time, it's putting on the heated steering wheel. And I don't know whether it thinks that in Scotland, we automatically need heating. But it was really annoying. And then another thing it did a couple of times was every couple of days I would get in and it would reset everything. The door mirrors were reset and the seat was reset. Now, I'd programmed the seat memory, but it seemed to decide that, no, it wasn't happy with that. So little things like that I found a wee bit annoying, and it's not cheap. I mean, that one that we had, I think it was about 54,000.
Right.
I know the range starts at 40, but
but then moves up swiftly.
Yeah. So it's not a cheap car. It was okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think actually when the week was finished at Lorraine and out and driving it, test driving it, I said to her, what did you think? And her reaction was the same. It was okay.
Yeah.
She would like it to be better. So there we go. That's our test drive for this week. And I just take this opportunity of saying congratulations. First of all, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. We asked you last week if you pressed the subscribe button, then you'd be entered into the draw for one of these. They're back in their pride of place on the table.
You managed to find something.
Yeah,
You lost them.
Yeah, no, so did I. I think I lost them. So there we are. They're back. The mugs. Was ever give one to someone who's subscribed? Thank you very much indeed. Coming out just before we started, the winner was Sheila Brown. Sheila, congratulations to you once again. Don't know where you are, but we will be in touch with you through email and sort that one out. And talking of emails, here's something just before we go to my first drive. I want to just make sure we don't miss this out, Alan. A guy called Wayne is on TikTok, okay? And he's posed a question for both of us personally. So it's not for him. We're not replying on behalf of him. We're replying on behalf of ourselves.
He's asking us a question.
He's asking us a question.
And the question is?
Question is, if you were to buy a car today, what would that be? Now, having seen that about 30 minutes ago, I've had to stop and think. And we've decided we'll tell you, Wayne, the answer to that in the next edition of Scotland The Drive. Okay?
I need a few weeks to think about it.
I know. And I was nearly there about 2 weeks ago. So quite interesting question for me. Thanks very much indeed, Wayne, for doing that. Right. Okay. My first car.
Oh, yes.
My first
But
car.
not your first car.
Not my first car. No. Our feature every edition, we try and find someone of interest who has an interest, and they may have had one car, they may have had many cars. And that is the situation with our guest on this edition. Stephen Leckie heads up Crieff Hydro. He also heads up various other organisation, employs a lot of people, and is also the King's representative in Perth and Kinross. So let's catch up with him and his first drive.
This is Scotland The Drive. My first car.
Well, Stephen Leckie, thanks for joining us on Scotland The Drive. You're a busy man. I'm glad you managed to find the time to sit down and talk to us. What are you up to these days?
Well, thank you, Alan, for inviting me. And I do four things and am four things. The four things I do, I'm the chief executive of my own family company. We have 8 hotels around Scotland, and we make gin, and we have activity companies and golf courses. It's quite diversified. And there's about 850 people work in the company, and we can look after 2,000 customers a night. That's across the company. So that's busy enough. My 4 children all work in the business. They are 6th generation. That's an unusual statistic to get to in the world, let alone Scotland. So I'm very proud to have all 4 children and my wife working alongside me and in this business. So that keeps us busy. The business is open 168 hours a week. So that's 7 days. We choose to work the business 7 days a week. We have a management meeting in Crieff every morning at 10:30. We go to that when we can, just to find out what's going on in the business that day. And the hotels we have in Peebles, West Coast, King's House, Isles of Glencoe, Ballyhooish. We can't go to these hotels as often as we'd like to, but when we do, we love visiting. So that's the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do, I'm the chairman of Visit Scotland, the Scottish Tourist Board, and I love that job. I've wanted this job for decades of my life, and it's a huge privilege to be connected with the tourism industry in Scotland. It's Scotland's one of Scotland's greatest economic drivers. We employ, I know 1 out of 10 people in Scotland. So it's a big employer around Scotland. It's a big part of Scotland, the brand, and Scotland being on the world stage, the whole tourism sector in Scotland. So I enjoy working with the government, MSPs, MPs, Westminster, Holyrood, and the very able, talented, hard-working, ambitious, keen, hungry staff who work with Visit Scotland. So that's the second thing I do. The third thing I do is I'm involved in a nice, big security company, and we have 4,500 security officers in Britain, and that I find a real fascination into a whole new world of how business operates with a high-growing, well-performing security company called Security Group. So we look after, for example, the Royal Albert Hall, Selfridges in London, the Hydro Arena in Glasgow City Council. There's lots of things that we do in security with the 4,500 security guards, largely around Britain and Ireland. So that's the third thing. And then the fourth thing is it's a massive honour for me to be the Lord Lieutenant of Perth and Kinross, which means I'm the monarchy's personal representative in the county, which means that that only in the county am I a senior person according to the scale of precedence written hundreds of years ago. The scale of precedence is 5 pages long. So at the top, the king, and then the monarchy. The first paragraph is the royal family, and then the Lord Lieutenant, and then it goes down to the provost and the sheriff principal, and the various keepers of various states and quakes, the first minister, and 5 pages at the bottom is a gentleman. So when I leave the county, I drop 5 pages and drop to be a gentleman, which I quite like the thought of that. So we all breathe the same air. I'm egalitarian. So whilst I have a certain title in the county, beyond the county, I have nothing.
Oh, well, I'm breathless just
I
listening
know.
to your jobs.
You just imagine people saying to you, Stephen, I never realised you did any of that. I mean, obviously the hospitality side is one, and I knew you were associated with Perthshire Chamber as well. But is there anything you say no to, or do you find that difficult?
I turn down a lot of things. I have to, because aside from the 4 things I do, I don't do chilling. Folk talk about chilling. I don't know what chilling is. I don't think chilling is the right thing for anybody to be doing. If you're either you're flat out or you're flat out. So my style is if I'm tired, well, I'll go to sleep, and I plan my day around a sleep. I have a sleep most days at some point during around midday for between 20 minutes and half an hour, and that's enough to give me then a second shot at the day. Because if I work evenings, and I do work evenings, and I work weekends, then I need to sleep. So if you're tired, well, go and sleep. So either flat out or flat out. And I shouldn't forget, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm a brother. There's the 4 other things that I am, and I mustn't forget that side of my life. And if the priorities in this life, and I try and live by these mantras, it is about health. It's about your friends, your family. It's about having some financial security, and it's about your environment, your community, looking after the folk that matter to you in your community, in whatever that community means or is. So that's the 5 things that I focus on in this world from a personal perspective. And part of that is then I don't know where the cars fit into these 5 factors of looking after ourselves in this life, but they must fit somewhere, because I spend so much time in the garage fixing cars, which is a massive hobby for me.
But you do actually spend time with the cars. I mean, it sounds as if you don't have any time at all. How do you manage to cram in time for the cars?
Well, I have a few cars and a few motorbikes, mainly classics and vintage, veteran vintage. So it's a big thing. So when folk meet me, they think that I'm a checkbook mechanic until they come and see my setup. So and I love the garage. I love the setup of the garage, the ramp, the welding equipment, the 3-phase, the 3-phase grinding machine with a wire brush attachment. That's perhaps the tool that I use most. I can't bear to throw out rusty things, so I tend to spend time polishing them up with the 3-phase grinding attachment, the wire wheel. So I can spend on the Alvis TD21. I bought that during COVID. I think I spent 1,250 hours on that car rebuilding it, taking it right back to just a rusty box of bits. And folk who come in the garage, in that particular garage, the workshop, the mechanical garage as I call it, they puff their cheeks out and say, "Well, that's a big job." Well, yes, it is, but nothing is impossible. You can build, find, source virtually anything, whether it's wood, aluminium, steel. You can find it or make it. So the Alvis TD21, which I love, and I do drive it, 5-speed gearbox, rebuilt engine, and it all just goes well with the soft top. I don't do the interiors. I don't do the soft top. That's too technical. Ashley Harding from Cymru, who's very, very able, he does all that. And his advice to me is, don't try and do it, Stephen, because you'll just be disappointed with your result. So best to leave some things to the experts.
So just run through what's in your collection, because it is a considerable collection, isn't it?
Well, There's others, there's others in this country and in this county with much larger collections. I think the concept of my collection is I didn't set out to have a collection of cars. I just ended up with a collection of cars and you can see how my little brain works as you wander around the eclectic, quirky garages. So it's not one big, huge, fancy shed or museum where it's all kind of set out and laid out properly. It is all parts of cars lying in different locations around lots of different garages and sheds and huts with different bits of rusty bits lying, in various locations, gearboxes and engines and spare parts and new bits and duplicated parts, lots of duplicated parts and oil filters and oil and all the kind of things you need to run a garage. So there's a number of ramps and a number of garages: 2-post ramps, single-post ramps, scissor ramps, and a 4-post ramp. There's arc welding machines and there's MIG welding machines and there's gas and there's propane and there's thermoductors and welding aluminium. So all the kits, and there's soda blasters and shot blasters and grit blasters and vapor blasters, aqua blasters. So I have all the kits to do in lots of things, which I love. So if something frustrates me, then I could just walk away from it. The whole point is it's an area of peace and fun and enjoyment. And if I get cross or can't do something, I can walk away and leave it for hours, days, weeks, months, and years. Lucky me, I have the space to store them. So some cars, like the Sunbeam Talbot Alpine Roadster, that's been lying bare metal, having been shot blasted in my shed for 10 years. It's dehumidified, so it's not going to rust. I'll get to it, I hope, sometime between now and period of death. So that's the plan. So there's 5 projects lying there in bits.
And
I will get to.
Sorry, Steve, have you been interested right from a small boy in getting into things, getting to find out what is behind that little corner of the engine? Has that been an interest of yours?
It has, and I can't tell you why. I can tell you, my father, his brother was a minister. My father should have been a minister. He wasn't. He was a hotelier here in Crieff Hydro, and he spent a lot of his time at church. He was the session clerk of the principal church in Crieff for 40-odd years. He ran the Sunday school. We went to Scripps Union camps. He was a Gideon. We had a Sunday evening service for many decades in Crieff Hydro, where I handed out Bibles alongside the minister. That's all sadly stopped now. So we spent a large part of our early years in church, in Sunday school, at Scripture Union camps. But since the age of 10, for some reason, just something, I've had a fascination with mechanical things. I wanted to build things. My father built a yacht, a dinghy, a mirror dinghy out of wood, and that was very nice. We still have it. But I wanted to build cars and engines and motorbikes. My first motorbike, I won a scholarship at Morrison's Academy when I was age 11, and my father allowed me to buy for £5 a Vespa scooter, which wasn't working. It was jammed in 4th gear. I had to push it back home, jammed in 4th gear, age then 12, and figure out how to take this Vespa 150cc 2-stroke scooter apart and fix it and get it going, which I did by the time I was age, 13 or 14. And then as all that happened, I picked stones out of fields in Easter. That's tough. Picked potatoes out of fields in October. That's tough. Picking berries, strawberries and raspberries and blueberries out of fields in summertime is boring but hard work. And then going grouse beating and pheasant beating. I did all these things aged 13, 14, 15 to afford to buy things. And I bought my first motorbike, trials bike, a Yamaha TY175, aged 14. That cost £300 and loved that. And the change from a Vespa to a truck was quite a magnificent change for me at that young early age.
Oh, dear. I'm surprised. I don't know how you've got an amazing memory for detail. I mean, I can remember some of my old number plates, but that's about it. But you remember the actual detail. You've got an encyclopedic mind.
Well, it's just something that interests me, and so I just love it. So my first car, age 17, was a Triumph Spitfire. I also paid £300 for that car, same as the motorbike, funny enough. Having worked now a student in Edinburgh, so bought the car and had to change the engine, but we couldn't bring the engine back to Crieff, so we changed the engine just in a street in Edinburgh. 2 of us just hoisted the engine out and changed it and put the spare engine back in the boot of the Triumph Spitfire, which was not a big boot. So we crammed that in and drove back to Crieff.
So, of all your cars, I mean, and this is probably a difficult question, what's your favourite?
Well, the flippant response, Alan, is the next one. Because every day I look up all the publications and all the websites that you can buy cars, all the trading organizations. So I could have a list of 20, 30, 40 cars today that I would go and buy if I could afford it or had the space to keep them. But the favorite car, it'd be too easy to go for the higher value cars, and there's lots of folk with higher value cars than I've got. The Aston Martin DB6 Mark II with the rebuilt engine. It's been stroked and bored. It's now over 4 liters. It's a powerful thing. It's a great thing. So it'd be easy to say, well, that's my favorite car because that's the most expensive one. But actually, I do like it. I have an Aston Martin DBS as well, the same age, it's 6 months younger, which I love driving as well. But the Sunbeam Talbot Alpine Roadster, 1955, would be the one that would be the most unusual one. If you turn up in an E-Type or a Daimler or a Lagonda or an Aston Martin, then folk think you're wealthy and don't talk to you. Whereas you turn up on a Sunbeam Talbot Alpine Roadster, they don't know what it is and they chat to you about it, and I like that. And the fact I've rebuilt it myself, and had it for many years, that just it gives you something to talk about. Because the first question everyone asks is, how long have you had the car? And then the second question is, and do you do the work yourself in it? So I like to be able to say, well, I've had that car for 20 years, and yes, I've rebuilt everything, the back axle, the gearbox, the engine, the clutch, the interior, the bodywork, the chrome, the spray, the soft top, everything has been rebuilt in that car.
It's amazing. And it must be amazing for someone to ask you those questions and then you come out with the whole knowledge of every nut and every bolt in that car. That must be absolutely fascinating to the people you're talking to.
Well, yes. So if I'm in a situation where I wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, which I do, worrying about things or my mind's racing about something, then my where I go to for comfort is think about the cars. So that's a happy place for me to go. So I then can go back to sleep. Sometimes it takes a while, but I work out. For example, I'm rebuilding the rear axle from an Alvis, a 1952 Alvis TA21. So if I can think about where the bearing goes, where the packers go, where the seals go, and how do I take that seal off and get the half shaft out, then all of a sudden I find myself getting dozy again. So that's a good thing for me.
So what do you drive on a daily basis? Do you have a sort of normal car, if I can call it that?
Well, I'm very privileged to have a Range Rover hybrid. So that's that's my office. So if I'm driving to Edinburgh, Glasgow, it's my office. I can spend time via the car phone on the phone, and all of a sudden the journey is not an hour and a half. It's just part of my working day, morning or evening. But I also listen to Radio Scotland. I listen to the radio, quite a lot to find out the news. So the car I'd use on any day is the Range Rover. And it sounds terribly kind of pompous to say, oh, you've got a Range Rover. Well, we live in a hill. It does snow in Crieff. We do use the cars for towing. So it is a kind of working car for me, us, the family. So that'd be the kind of car. But tomorrow night, I'm going to Edinburgh to stay with various tours and things. And I'll take the Volvo P1800E. And the reason I'll take that is because the Ranger was too big for a certain place where I'm going down. The lift is the new club at Edinburgh has a car lift, and the Ranger is too big for the car lift. So the Volvo will fit in the car lift. So I'll leave that underneath the new club in Princess Street in Edinburgh for 2 days as I go out to work. So that's why I'm taking the Volvo, and it's ULEZ compliant.
Oh yes, oh good.
Of course, yes.
Well, it's ULEZ free, exempt from ULEZ. It's not ULEZ compliant. It's exempt.
Yeah. Good.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'm really impressed that you got however long the 20 minutes that you spent with us. I mean, you must have a whole load of jobs piling up waiting to be done. So thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. And enjoy your driving. And I saw you at the Glams Extravaganza last summer. Are you coming back again this summer?
Well, I try and go to all the car shows that I can in Scotland, which takes up pretty much every weekend in summertime. If you go to them all, including England, I love going to the Classic Car Show and the Restoration Show. But I also love going to Europe. So we went to Classic Le Mans last year. We did a few passes, the Forca Pass and Stelvio Pass. We did 6 passes in northern Italy last September, and we did 2,000 miles in the DB6. It averaged 15 miles per gallon and didn't break down. So and all these cars, but even the Rolls Royce went on fire. Luckily, I stopped behind a car who had lots of lots of bottles of water in his back of his car, so we were able to. But it was the air conditioning compressor that went on fire. So we do use the cars.
This is Scotland the Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
So, a man of many parts. I don't know how he keeps up with them all.
Absolutely amazing.
Remembers all these jobs. And the fact is, he likes to tinker with the cars. He likes to work on the cars rather than just drive them. So, Stephen Leckie there. And I'm sure as we speak, he'll be
tinkering away.
Tinkering as we speak.
Yeah.
Now then, it's 70 years since the seatbelt.
I found that quite astonishing that it's 70 years, because I sort of thought that I remembered them becoming mandatory, and I didn't think, well, I'm not old enough, obviously, to remember 70 years ago.
Yeah, right, yeah. Anyway, and the interesting thing about the seatbelt is it was developed by a Volvo engineer. I've got his name here somewhere, but this Volvo engineer developed the seatbelt, and Volvo obviously started putting them to their cars, but not just that. They gave the patent free to every other manufacturer, which is very generous.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they could have made an awful lot of money out of it, but in the interest of road safety, they allowed other manufacturers to use it patent free. It was developed by Volvo design engineer Niels Boland, and it was the lap and diagonal belt anchored at a low attachment point beside the seat. So that was 70 years ago, and they reckon it saved millions of lives.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because, it was something. It's actually funny to think about cars being driven without seatbelts now. And as we were talking about earlier, these cameras that are going to monitor people who are not wearing them. How can you drive and not wear a seatbelt?
I go back, what is taking me back, and why I'm going to have to work it out for myself. But many, many years ago, I was involved in a serious accident, and I didn't have my seatbelt on.
Why not?
I'm going to say they weren't mandatory, but you're telling me otherwise at that time. So I don't know.
Mandatory 70 years.
Right. They were introduced.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I didn't have a seatbelt on because I thought it was cool. And I was driving on the Glasgow to Kilmarnock Road and had a gentleman come head on into me who'd unfortunately had a heart attack and head on at the Eaglesham turnoff. And I didn't have the seatbelt on. And that was something I learned afterwards, every time since then, because I went through the windscreen and I've still got scars all over my head up the top here where it caught it all. My knees went into the dashboard, hence I've still got problems with knees. So I learned in a bad way about seatbelts. But obviously. Now, I just don't understand people who don't.
Sometimes at the height of stupidity, I've seen some taxi drivers driving along with a seatbelt plugged in behind them.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. Anyway.
Moving on.
70 years. Have you been on the A90 recently? The Angus Grill and Larder.
Oh, yeah.
Near Brechin.
Yeah. Open up again.
It's reopened. Well, it reopened 3 or 4 days a week and only for a limited time. But it's good to see, and we talked some time ago about caffeine and machine, whether there should be somewhere in Scotland like this where motor enthusiasts, car enthusiasts can gather and get coffee and snacks and things. So the Angus Grill and Larder has reopened, and I wish it well. It's a young guy, a young chef, has taken it on, and I'm going to call in and give him the benefit of my business. My cup of coffee. We're concerned the price of breakfast.
It's not just the price of breakfast. It's as Phil and Kirsty say on their TV program, location, location, location. I've been involved in retailing and pubs and hotels and things like that throughout the years. My 70 years. And I just feel that the enthusiasm there, I do sincerely wish them all the best. but I just don't see it's not open every day. It's on the side of a motorway. Well, it's not a motorway, but it's a main road. Surely you should be open when people know you're going to be open. It's been criticised before opening about the prices. A breakfast is £16. It's got competition either side. It's about the third people that have tried this.
There's not that much competition. No, I disagree. I think
No, I wish him all the best, but
Yeah.
I just don't think he's got it right. You turned up there the other day. What was it?
yesterday I thought I'll go in and give him some
3 days after it opened, and
It's closed.
thank you.
And there's a sign on the door saying open Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, Saturday. I think.
And then he says, in the
7:30 till 2:30.
2:30, and then in some evenings we may have yoga. What?
Okay.
I lost my case. That's it.
Well, okay, so you go to McDonald's just down the road in Forfar.
Yeah.
And it's open 24 hours a day.
Yep. What's wrong with the coffee?
It's all right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a bit like the Ford Explorer. It's okay.
We shall see.
Right. Anyway,
Whoever you are is opening.
we wish him well.
Best of luck.
We wish him
Best of
well.
luck,
I should be calling in to sample his coffee. Now then, how about this? You fancy a car. We're talking about what car would you buy? This woman, Kathleen Houry, I think her name is, in Orkney. She had a boyfriend years ago who had an Austin 3-litre, and she loved the car, but she's always hankered after an Austin 3-litre, an old car from the 70s, I think. 1970 model. Anyway, she was trawling the internet and saw one for sale. Only trouble was, it was in New Zealand. But distance was no barrier to the guy who owned it, called Hans Compter, a Dutchman who runs this business between Holland and New Zealand. So she got in touch with him and said, I want the car. So this 86-year-old made arrangements to ship the car to Newcastle. Not just that, but he travelled from Holland in his vintage Opel Blitz transporter truck and drove the car on the back of his truck to Orkney, and he thought it would take a day. It took him 2 days to do the 400 miles, I think it was. And not just that, but at Berrydale Braes, he pulled into the side to what he thought was a lay-by, and it was actually the runoff emergency lane, got bogged down, had to be pulled out. Anyway, the point is, she got her car all the way from New Zealand to Orkney, delivered by the guy who owned it, who restores them. But good on him. I mean, driving a vintage truck with a vintage car, vintage car on the back, taking it all the way from New Zealand to Orkney.
There's a challenge. Do we have anybody watching this podcast in Orkney? If we have someone listening and watching, or whatever way you're doing it, in Orkney, please let us know. And the first person from Orkney to get in touch will receive one of these brand new Scotland Drive pens.
Okay.
I know. Well, I think we need to find where those who are watching, listening on YouTube are. Do you remember, regarding anything, you can contact us by email on scotlanddrive@gmail.com. And that's it, because we're out of time.
Yeah, but coming up next time,
if
you've watched Two Doors Down, you watched it Two Doors Down?
Colin
in Two Doors Down. He's talking about his first car. Jonathan Watson, the actor, is talking about his first car and the love he had for this BMW Z3.
Indeed.
So that's in the next edition, coming shortly.
Indeed. All the best. Drive safely. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Scotland, The Drive, with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.